Welcome back, Sins and Commandments alike. This is Griever, your host as always, bringing you the latest episode of Seven Deadly Sins, or Nanatsu no Taizai's newest season revival of the Commandments. Now, this is episode 5, and I know I said latest, and I know episode 6 just came out, but I was trying to get this out before that. It's just probably not going to happen. I have to do some stuff after this and work, of course. So, anyways, by the time this comes out, it will not be the latest episode, but either way, let's just get right into it, because this episode, unlike the high train we've had with the last few episodes, I've just been really happy with the animation quality and the soundtrack, the music, all this stuff has been just really on point. I love Galan's voice actor and stuff, as I mentioned in the previous review. Just really hoping for a great episode. And it was okay. It was okay, guys. I didn't find it to be on the same level as the other ones, because as I've told you guys before, I always try to at least get a general gist of how the manga chapters were structured in relation to the episode. And so far, for the most part, with the exception of basically episode 1, these episodes have basically been OVAs. They haven't really changed anything. It's been shot for shot, panel for panel, pretty much in the same way. Now, they've moved the timeline around, like, things that happen in, chapter 117 might be before chapter 113's plot, but they're just trying to cut between Bon and the Fairy King Forest and all that stuff, and what's going on with Meliodas' group. So they're just cutting in between things a little differently than the manga, but there's no real changes to the flow of the story. This one, same idea, but anyways, let's just jump into the beginning of the episode, because it just wraps up the Fairy King's Forest. The sacred tree, of course, repairs itself due to Bon and his powers. I'm sure he fed the tree some more blood after he was released and stuff like that, and it just repaired itself naturally. And of course, healing the Fairy King himself, who has been reinstated, of course, with true spirit form, chest fold, as Harlequin. Gives him his blood, he heals, blah, blah, blah. He's ready to go back to the Sins. Bon threatens Gerard very succinctly, like, do whatever you want to me, but you try to touch Elaine again. And once again, don't know where this plot there was going. Why would she want to destroy? Elaine is basically the Fairy Queen in this sense. If King's the Fairy King and she's the sister, technically she's... I know doesn't work like a hierarchy, as Gerard explained, as in human kingdoms and human realms and stuff, or like our world does as far as monarchies go. But Elaine was the guardian and the de facto Fairy King leader, the leader of the fairies for many, many years while Harlequin was gone. So, and she even refers to her as Elaine Sama. So, where was that respect when he almost butchered her? I understand her soul's not back there yet, but yeah, once again, don't really understand that plotline. But we basically wrap that up all in a neat little bow. Jericho and Bon are off their way to continue to wherever they're going, and King and Gerard and stuff are just left in the Fairy King's Forest, and everybody's all happy the Avalon is dead. We cut over to Meliodas' group, which is where the real height of the episode is, because that's where, of course, Galand has finally shown up. Galand, looking pretty beastly. As I said, once again, the color palette kind of threw me and a lot of other people, but I'm okay with it. It's fine. It's what it is. The thing is that this fight scene was really devastating. Devastating is the best word I can use to describe it. It wasn't the best fight. It wasn't like something major or whatever, because really it's not much of a fight. It's more like a beatdown, more like a let's show off the new antagonists of the new arc and show how beastly they are. That was the point of this. And the problem with the anime episode, that in the manga, it totally felt that way. It was dark and gritty and devastating. We knew they were completely outmatched in every panel, with Galand doing something different. Like just every shot, every time he, attacked Meliodas' clone, or every single time he, when he appeared behind Merlin and all this stuff. It feels like it was shot correctly, but there needed to be more impact in some way. Now, I know that the formats are different. Manga, always has, speed lines and other stuff like that, but I felt like they could have done it better. They could have found some way to make it a little more, added some new type of battle animation effects, or something to show us. Maybe some just really gritty shots when Galland is just talking. Maybe some still shots, but some really dark and really detailed gritty shots, so like a pan up or a pan sideways when he's talking, and like the eye glowing way more or something, because the shot where Galland totally knocks Deanne over, like Deanne's knockover attack, didn't seem that it felt more clumsy than in the manga, because of course they all attack Galland. Meliodas is completely overwhelmed and stuff, even with his clone technique, and Galland's treating him like a child. Of course, he says he always wanted to go one-on-one with Meliodas, but these fights, like all these attacks and stuff, which felt each attack from Galland and each time Meliodas tried to attack him felt so small in comparison. But see, they almost evened it out, and I think that's the main problem with this fight, is that they make Meliodas' attacks look far more devastating. They're just not affecting Galland. Whereas in the manga, it felt like they were just puny little, like he had a butter knife, ting, 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 and was doing nothing. In this, it looks like he's using devastating attacks. They're just not doing anything. Whereas Galland is doing devastating attacks, and they're working. I think what should have been done is less effect with Meliodas' powerful attacks, less, big waves of energy and big slices and big sound effects. It should have just kind of been toned down in that regard, because of the fact that now Galland doesn't look as more menacing and more impressive as he did in the manga. But that's enough of my comparison spiel about that. I just think that this fight, which I was looking forward to, kind of left me a little lackluster, and I felt like Galland had less OP-ness than he did in the manga as well. Because he spent way too long being attacked and stuff. I don't know. It just seemed that way to me. To go through the fight really quick, watch the fight. The fight was still well animated and stuff. It's still shot for shot. It's just not as impactful. Meliodas tries to attack him, completely gets overwhelmed. Galland can read him like a book. So Deanne tries to help and start attacking, and Merlin uses magic counter and of course or magic cancel. Sorry. This, of course, takes her out of her normal form, and of course, we need the tit shot, and we need that kind of stuff, and the growing, and the boom boom, and unlike the manga, all of a sudden we need to see the fact that she had to use a second spell to bring her clothes back, and it's like, okay, so we get this like Ichi shot of Deanne and stuff. I mean, fan service. What are you gonna do? Gotta like that in the fact that the anime is going above and beyond what the manga does for fan service. She attacks, of course, as I said previously. Hammer, Gideon hits, basically bounces off, does nothing. When I read the manga version, I assumed that she hit Galland, but it was so strong a force that it just ping and whacked her back in the head. But it seems Galland actually did something to actually attack the hammer and forced it back. Once again, see, that's another little idiocy that might have been lost in translation when you read it, but now that we're seeing it, it makes Galland look a little more, oh, well, he did have to strike it, So Meliodas is kind of down for the count here, and so Merlin tries to take over and use a spell attack to, get Galland away. Galland leaps up and appears right behind Merlin, avoiding the spell, jumps a few miles in seconds, because as Merlin states, her spell radius is a few miles at least, and he avoided that spell instantly by jumping, and then of course appears right behind her and states, and once again, this scene I thought would be better shot. Like, it was shot correctly, but where was the menacing? I think we need a little more Kubo anime style in here. We need a little more Bleach animation style for these more epic moments and these OP moments. Because even in the anime, they took Kubo's sense of lots of love of white and blacks to, really accent things. They tried to take that to heart quite a few more times, I found, in that anime as well. So I just wish there was more of that, because everything's still so colorful, and this should be a dark, menacing moment of a battle. Like, these moments should have a dark overtone, and not, I felt like something was really missing from this fight. So the rest of the fight goes as you can imagine. Everyone's getting owned. She uses Perfect Cube on Arthur, Hawk, and Elizabeth to keep them safe. Now, Slater comes in, tries to use Overpower, and Overpower is a move that actually managed to work on Hendrickson when he absorbed a Grey Demon. But Galland is so... It's like Intimidate. Like, Overpower is basically the use of Intimidate for those of you who play Pokemon. It's the ability Intimidate. That's all it is. All it does is an intimidation factor. It basically, scares you off, freezes you in place, kind of stuns you because you're being, swallowed by this menacing presence. But even though that's his magical ability, it's still not nearly enough. Galland's presence just overpowers... ironically, pun not intended, overpowers the magical ability of Overpower from Slater, and he gets cracked, and this just looks so painful. This looks... Ugh. Jeez, well, he's definitely down if he doesn't have his entire side completely busted and shattered bones and everything. I'll be surprised. So Merlin tries to strike a deal with Galland, says, halt, your power and stuff exceeded my expectations, and she's thinking in her head and stuff, and this scene's done the same way. Talks about, all right, how am I going to figure this out? How am I going to get them out of there? I need to buy some time so I can figure out a strategy here. And meanwhile, she promises, here's where she screwed up. She said, she was talking about making a deal, but then she said, I know something that you, the Demon Clan, desperately need. We can make some sort of arrangement, but she had no intention of making the arrangement, and boom, here comes the first use of a commandment in the new season, the commandment of truth. He is Galland of truth, and that means that anybody who tells a lie gets petrified, turned to stone. That's OP. That's pretty OP. So you have to tell the truth. You can't lie. Now, of course, there's not a whole lot of opportunities to lie in a battle, I suppose. If you truly believe something, as long as you're not, I believe that unintentional lying, like you say, we can do this, guys, and you clearly can't. I don't think that would activate the commandment because, to that person's mind, they aren't lying. They believe they have a chance of victory. That's not lying. That's still a belief. They're still holding that as their own version of truth. Starting to sound like Full Metal Alchemist up in here. But that's basically what happens there. So Merlin she acknowledges it, goes, oh shit, and turned to stone. So now Merlin, with the highest battle power, as far as we know, is done, off the count. Now we got to deal with a 26,000 attack power Galland with no Merlin. So, but Perfect Cube is still activated. So, what's up with that? Anyways, Meliodas attacks Galland after this in demon form. Now, the demon form, of course, is only this single symbol on the forehead, the tattoo, and Hawk remarks that the power has jumped to over 4,000. I believe it's 4,400. Now, okay, it's not going to do anything. And then, Galland beats him down again, and Meliodas goes even further and ends up going to the ultimate form that was during the festival and stuff, that just that dazed, friggin' out of it, unconscious demon level form. He intentionally brought himself into this demon form, and it's remarked that the power level is now over 10,000. So we're getting a little more even here. Now, of course, remember, Galland's actual magical power is at 0 currently. The 26,000 is the makeup of the spirit and actual physical strength. The magical power has been basically completely drained from the commandments. I forget exactly where we cut over from this fight scene, guys, but we do cut over to the 10 Commandments in Edinburgh, which I did make a correction for in the last review. They are in Edinburgh, or the remains of Edinburgh Castle, and they remark all about this, how the goddess seal and what happened to the magic that flowed, that everyone basically, this is what the Holy War was about, all the rich magical power of the earth, and they don't feel any of it. Fraudrin, of course, in Dreyfus's body, goes to explain to the rest of them that the magic is still there. It's just now been spread through, fertile ground and like the tree and the rock. And it sounds like a Yoda speech here. Like it's between the life creates it, makes it grow. So the fertile, the land, the beautiful mountains and the valleys and the people, the population of the people and all the magical, all the magic that all the holy knights have and stuff. It's basically been diverse. It's become part of a nature and become part of the races, divided very heavily rather than just one just core in the earth. It remains this raw power. It's been like kind of stretched very, very thin amongst everything to create a utopia, almost in a sense, a beautiful land that is Britannia. So that is explained, and then Derriere here goes, oh, well, there's those two humans that have been bitching at us this whole scene, don't realize, I wouldn't, as two humans going up to these guys, really? Really? They look like minors to you? I never understood this. They look like minors. Like at least the dude in the farmer from Dragon Ball Z when Raditz first dropped out, at least the farmer knew like an alien, like what the hell? He got his gun and was like, holy shit, I have no idea. Stay back, you strange, instantly recognized. And Raditz looks like just a big human. Just looks like Dwayne The Rock Johnson with hair, a lot of hair. So what I don't get these guys' reaction, and it's not like this is the anime to blame. The manga did it too. I just don't get like the necessary. Like I understand that they wanted to talk about souls and stuff, but you could have seen them going to the nearby town of Edinburgh and stealing souls and terrorizing the town, rather than have these two guys come up and they don't even act in that weird like weeded out hick attitude. They're just miners going to do their day job, and they're like, hey, you're on our turf, you want the good stone from here, you're gonna have to. And it's like, guys, how the hell, especially like looking at like big blue giant dude over here and stuff, like really, you thought these dudes were miners? Anyways, rant about that over. So they figure out that they can steal the souls, just an ability they all seem to possess, because Derriere and Monspeed here both steal the souls of the miners and eat them. And they say that even though they don't taste that good, it does contain some magical properties. Just regular old miner humans has some form of the magic that's been passed down to generations of the land from 3,000 years ago. So this is how they're going to restore the power. And they even mention it's a two birds with one stone sort of thing. They're going to wipe out the human race, as they intend to do, along with all the other races, while building up their own strength by eating the souls. Now Melisukla here does a power called Summon Ring, and we see that many other demons are about to be summoned to terrorize all of Britannia. As I said, I don't know exactly, I forget exactly where that scene was placed, but we cut back over basically from here to the Gallon fight, and I'm not sure where that was. But, alright, so Hawk remarks that 10,000, I believe, already said that. Meliodas is in his super demon form as far as we've seen him become, and he starts striking Gallon and does a fair amount of, like, he seems to be actually doing something, like he punches him in the gut and actually sends him back. He falls back a bit, and then he starts striking him. Gallon seems to be taking the hits, like they're not damaging him, but it's a knockback effect, if nothing else. This is when Meliodas stops and tries to control the power, and you see the red like aura, the lightning coming off of it, along with the dark aura and stuff. And I don't mind that effect. It's showing some real raw, like some confliction, and he's bleeding as he's biting down on himself, trying so hard to maintain and control the demon urges and not fall to the darkness, as he says. And Gallon goes, what the hell are you talking about? And that's when Meliodas tries to unleash but control the, like, compress all this raw power he's got, and just boom, like this big tunnel thing in the ground, and it's just a beam of dark energy that's completely encompassing Gallon. This I had a problem with, because I keep comparing it to the manga, but I think that's because the manga chapter did this way better. The point of the scene wasn't to show a great fight, but was to show the overall devastation. Once again, the word devastation is the best one I could come up with for this, of the raw power and how totally outmatched even Meliodas is. Going full demon, he's still got nothing on the Ten Commandments. And this is only one, and clearly not the strongest. We know that he's not the strongest, because it wouldn't send the strongest right away. We know it's probably one of the dudes that looks like Meliodas, Zeldris and stuff like that. So, this, once again, I don't get this, because they're showing Gallon looking less OP and trying to make it like seem it's more even, because in the manga he just says, you weren't this weak, boom, like he didn't seem to do the struggling. Like they're just drawing out Gallon like reacting to this, Like, I always pictured it as he didn't make any noise. He was just like kind of encompassed by that. Kind of like when in using another reference from Bleach, when Final Getsuga, Ichigo was fighting Aizen, and he used Black Coffin. He was just like, oh, encompassed it, and then just like shatter. That's how I read Galen doing this. Like, I felt like he was getting angry at Meliodas for being so weak, like not even worth his time or a challenge. Like, he was actually getting ticked off at him. Not that the ability was actually holding him back, because it felt like in this episode that ability was holding him for a certain amount of time, that Galen actually had to concentrate for a bit to break it. And that's not the point of this. That's not the point of the scene. At least I don't think so. Anyways, he proceeds to wreck everybody. He stabs Meliodas and then stabs him in the head as well for good measure. Breaks Merlin's statue, slashes down Deanne's shoulder blade, and after that, kind of, after the reactions of Arthur and Elizabeth being completely devastated, Galen's like, okay, well, that was enough exercise. This was disappointing. I'm going to leave. Boom, and he pieces. Now, this, we see the little titular little pink magic. I wonder who that is. And, of course, we get the crazy laughing Gother, completely naked, surrounded by a bunch of mutilated, basically corpses at this point, and a bunch of crying people that still are in the perfect cubes. Oh yeah, Galen does try to attack the perfect cubes, and it's a little different done in the manga, but either way, he tries to attack the perfect cubes, realizes that the perfect cube is actually a hidden spell, one of the secret spells from the demon realm that Merlin somehow got her hands on, and he would take, he says, I don't remember in the anime if he says it, but I know in the manga he does state like, oh, well, it would take substantial time for me to break this. I can break this. It's implied that he has a way of breaking the perfect cube, but currently, at the very least in his current state, he can't do it, or it would be an extraordinary pain in the ass to finally break it, and he doesn't want to waste his time. So he just says, oh, well, I haven't left many people alive to tell of me anyways up to this point, so yeah, you guys can stay alive for now. Treasure your lives as far as I'll let you live for now. And then that's when he pieces. And we get the whole flamboyant, Gother, crazy, Clockwork Orange-esque thing that's going on here. Yeah, this was weird in the manga and weird in the anime. Why is he so happy? Why is he laughing? The laugh's creepy. So here in the last scene of the episode, guys, we do end up getting a shot of Gilthunder, Hauser, and Griever. And Hauser and Griever have a little talk about how Veronica's a tomboy, and they have a little comedy sketch, and Gilthunder's like, oh, why did I bring these two morons? And that is when we see the fact that, they come across some travelers, and they clearly, this is the purpose of showing us the Ten Commandments scene previously, because now we can tell instantly these villagers have had their soul taken. Gilthunder, none of them realize this, and they think like, okay, well, they might have, like, Hauser thinks they're high, like they ate some kind of weird mushrooms off the ground, and they're just fucking out of it. They take that stuff, Grimoire picks up one of the old men and says, well, let's take him to the village, and they hear a really good scream. I like the scream effect here. Like, whoever did that good job, because that was pure bone chilling, blood curling or whatever they call it. Blood chilling? Bone chilling? Either one. So that happens, and they rush over, and then of course we see that it's a red demon making weird noises. I don't remember the red demon making those type of noises. I did watch the Japanese English subbed as well as the first season when it did come out. I watched the English dub first, and then I went back and watched the Japanese later on. I don't remember the red demon making this kind of noise, so we didn't get a whole lot of shots of him, just the flashbacks of Bon and Elaine in the Fairy King's Forest when the red demon attacked there. So we don't really know what they sound like, but it was kind of like, okay, it's kind of weird, kind of creepy, kind of weird, but I can roll with it. So the red demon is also stealing souls, and obviously these are the demons that were summoned by Melisukla when she used the summon ring ability in Edinburgh. Now, does that mean they are close to Edinburgh? Who knows? It's possible. I mean, it's not a huge distance from Leonis, as far as I was aware. So, I mean, it was in the Knights of Leonis had to deal with the Vampires of Edinburgh in the side chapters. So, I imagine it still follows under Leonis jurisdiction, as far as Holy Knight matters are concerned. So, it's not out of the realm of possibility that they're somewhere close by, and so right here we get at least a shot now, so because we've never seen them actually take on a red demon. They took on the infected, or the abominations and stuff, the second generation of knights and stuff like that, when they were taking over Leonis. But now we see that Hauser, Griever, and Gilthunder have no problem completely butchering a red demon with relative ease. So now at least we know the combat strength. We have a reference point for how strong these three are. Griever was able to, they just each took one attack, and that was basically completely done for. So they save the town, and we get a good reference here that the souls, once the demon is destroyed, the souls do return to the bodies. So the bodies are not useless. They aren't dead yet. That's good. They save the town, except now comes an ash demon, or a gray demon, referred to as both. And this, of course, we recognize as the demon, the more powerful demon that Hendrickson merged with. Now, right here, cool reveal. Like the reveal. This was the good point. I like how they did this in the anime, when we just hear Hendrickson's voice and he starts talking to to Gilthunder and Hauser and Griever, and says, that is called a gray demon. You can't just beat him by yourselves. He's a much more powerful. If you thought that taking that red demon made this guy easy, no. Red demons are basically, pawns, and this guy's like way higher up. So it's going to take all four of us. Now, this is a key point. He says it's going to take the combined strength of all of us to slay this one thing. And then that's when they turn around like, you, Hendrickson. And we see Hendrickson looking very knightly, very dapper. Good for you, Hendrickson. I tip my, well, it's not a top hat or a nice hat, and I'm not really dressed for the occasion. You're showing me up here, Hendrickson. But here's Hendy, so that's the main thing. I do like Hendrickson. I liked him as a villain in the first arc, and right now I like the fact that he's trying to play a redemption role right now. Now he's trying to save them from the Demon Clan, even though he was the one who released them, so that's just that. Of course, makes it good for a redemption arc, so anyways, he shows up and stuff, but this ends out the episode, guys, but I just want to talk about how right now, I think there's been some confusion, at least before. Maybe it's been wrapped up by now, and I know people have made videos on power levels. Of course, everybody makes videos on power levels. I'm not planning to do one. Maybe I will one day, but I just want to get it out here at the end of this, that Hendrickson, with the blood of the Grey Demon, was far superior to a regular Grey Demon. Okay? He was a Grandmaster Holy Knight, Captain Holy Knight, whatever you want to call him, Great Holy Knight. He was, alongside Dreyfus, was an exceptional, more powerful than Gilthunder, more powerful than Hauser, more powerful than Griever. He was one of the strongest Holy Knights in Leonis, alongside Dreyfus and Zaratros. So, no question there. He merged his power with that of the Grey Demon. That made him super tank. It wasn't just a Grey Demon strength, because I think that's had a bit of a problem here, because if this is the case, then how the hell is if it's not the case, if Hendrickson at the end of the first season was, that's roughly the strength of a normal Grey Demon, these four are going to die. Because it wouldn't make sense for them. They didn't get a super massive upgrade to the point that, you had Bon, King, Deanne, Meliodas, Gother, and all the Knights of Leonis, all these characters taking on Hendrickson merged with the Grey Demon, and it took everything they had. It was a climactic battle, but they all got their ass handed to them, up, down, left, right, and lots of people died. So in this case, if you have these four, that to me says, and Hendrickson seems confident that if the four of them fight together, that they'll be able to stop this demon. So I don't think these four are on the level of the Sins. I don't think you could say Hendrickson's Meliodas, Gilthunder's Bon, King is Hauser, and you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just replace those, because if that's the case, then like it just doesn't make sense to me. So I know a lot of people seem to be confused about that point. Like they're making the Grey Demon seem stronger than he is. The Grey Demon is not anywhere near as strong. Well, maybe near, but not close to that level. Meliodas can take on a Grey Demon without going through the whole revenge counter and all that stuff like he had to do against Henriksen Merge. Just want to get that out there. If you disagree with that, post in the comments below and show me evidence as to why you believe that is not the case, that Henriksen at the end of the season 1 was, and this new Grey Demon that's just popped up in episode 5 are the same battle strength, and now they're at a way disadvantage because Henriksen does not have that power anymore. He's back to being just a grand holy knight. But guys, that's the end of the anime episode review. What did you guys think? I will get to episode 6 very, very soon, hopefully tomorrow night, if not the next day, and then we will be officially all caught up. So thank you guys so much for watching. This has been Griever, your host as always. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, comment as always, and thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you back here next time. Sins and commands to like. So that being said, go have a drink at the Boar's Hat, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.